remember in my final year of university, I was busy applying for jobs, while this 24-year-old and his friends decided to build an AI startup, which within 6 months grew to 137,000 users. Watch this video to learn how you can do it too.
Next goal is pretty much to get to 1 million users. We're in the six-figure ballpark, and yeah, that's pretty much our goals.
Pouria, can you share the moment of inspiration behind Penseum? What was the breakthrough in AI for education that made you think this will change everything?
Yeah, for sure. Honestly, the inspiration for Penseum was in the making for a while, and I'll tell you why exactly. Me and one of the other founders, we actually graduated from university back in April 2023. And at the time, ChatGPT had become pretty mainstream, and I personally was using it. I know my friends were using it. I know a good 30% of my class at the time were using it as well. So it was good. It was really helpful, but it wasn't perfect, right? And anyway, fast forward to July, one random evening, we just happened to be chilling with the founders, and the topic of AI comes up, particularly the topic of AI in education. And soon after, the question just popped up that wouldn't it be amazing if there was a specialized AI for students and for the process of learning? And really, that's where the inspiration came from, because we all used ChatGPT firsthand. We knew how good it was, but we also knew how bad it could be when you really needed it. So that's really where the inspiration came from.
Definitely. I think it's really amazing that you were able to speak to your co-founders in such a personal space. And I feel like university just has this kind of effect on you that you're like, okay, let's change things. And I think I
Exactly.
really love how you were able to use your own experience of using ChatGPT and realizing that it has limitations and making that into a product.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, it was really like coincidental. And when we had the conversation and everybody was on board with the idea, we actually just started working on it like literally the next morning. So it was great.
Sounds very exciting. So, as a non technical founder in the AI education space, what were some initial challenges that you faced and how did you navigate these complexities?
Oh boy, the whole thing was pretty challenging, to be honest with you. Both the AI landscape and the education landscape are a bit alien to me. It's not something I specialized in necessarily. And on one hand, you have the whole development side of the technical jargon, understanding how the AI complexities work, what's feasible, what's not feasible, what's going to cost you money, and what's not going to cost you money. And on the education side, at the end of the day, Penseum is designed to educate the students, right? So how are you going to educate them? How are you going to present the material in a meaningful way that actually provides value? And these were really like the challenges that we faced at the beginning, and me personally as well. And honestly, to overcome these challenges, there's really only one way to go about it, and that's just to learn. Obviously, you don't have to learn the in and outs of everything, but you at least have to learn enough to be able to sit at the table and have a conversation. And you can't shy away from asking people who already do know. And that's pretty much what we did. Before we made Pensium, we talked to a lot of students, professors, teachers, and a few scientists as well, just to make the best out of it.
I love that you integrated user feedback before you had a product because I think that's actually one of the benefits of being a non-technical founder because a technical founder, they might, if they're an inexperienced one, they might just spend years building a product and they're like, I believe this will work. But the fact that you were like, let's talk to people, I think that definitely benefited your product.
Definitely, yeah. And honestly, it's also, if you think about it from a marketing perspective too, it's like the earlier you start on whether it's marketing or even user feedback and all that stuff, the better you are, so that when you actually do have your product ready, you can just go straight to the point and you waste absolutely no time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So I also read that you have an economics background. Do you find that there are some kind of knowledge that you learned from economics that you felt like really helped you as a founder?
Definitely especially in when we try to analyze our costs and figure out what's costing us money and how to decrease that, that's really like where kind of my economics degree has come into play. And just a lot of things you just learn in university that if you weren't there, you wouldn't have learned, whether it's like some social interactions or just like stuff you learn in school. I think, yeah, it's been super helpful just understanding this whole world of education and AI.
Definitely. So the journey from concept to market can be intense, especially in AI. What were some innovative strategies that you employed to accelerate Pensium's entry into the competitive educational tech scene?
Right. You can't really call it a strategy, but Pensium actually has 5 founders. So To some people, they think having 5 founders is a too much. They think 3 is, like, the maximum number you should have, but I think 5 is just enough. And the reason I say so is because in for us at least, we have a clear division of labor. We know who's responsible for what. We have a person some one person's responsible for the, development, one person's responsible for the marketing, one person's responsible for the business development, one person's responsible for the design, legal side, and you just divide the labor, and you can't really call it a strategy because it happened by coincidence, but it's been really helpful because it gives us the leverage to really move fast and just focus, like, each person can zero down and focus on whatever they're working on so that and as a group, you make progress much faster, right? And
Def-
yeah, I also wanted to add on I mentioned it just before too. It's good for us. The same day we started developing Penseum, also started marketing it. But it doesn't matter if you necessarily have a product ready yet. It's best to just start marketing because for a few reasons, and that's to understand your target market, interact, create a community, and interact with your users. And yeah, and once again, your product is ready. You're ready to go and actually have people use it. So I guess those were the strategies that you could call.
Definitely. So, so I guess we could say that in terms of your marketing strategy, you also use like the user base for the people in your university as well, right? Because so you went toward the students in your uni and then the professors and those cognitive scientists are somewhat in that department as well.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. Pretty much trying to get, an answer from as many people as possible. So we actually, like, pretty much reached out to all the professors in our city, and yeah, like, a decent amount of them were interested to either give some feedback or at least point us to somebody like a scientist, a cognitive scientist who can actually help us in the whole process of actually educating our users.
I love that like your university had a big impact on your product and your team because I think with university, a lot of people see it as you're there to learn and then you do something after you finish university. You're like in
Mhm,
all these societies, but like the fact that you're like building real things in uni is just, I feel like
mhm.
that's what you're supposed to do in university, right? Because
Exactly, yeah.
but you have to actually apply these things. The fact that because you're founding team, like everyone can do like marketing, development, etc. So you didn't really have to employ anyone. Am I correct? Yeah,
Yep,
so it's everything's all done there, and yeah, and I think that makes a lot of sense because especially with software development, right, it costs a lot for to, like, iterate, and the fact that you're able to iterate quickly and have everyone involved in the team to improve the product at the same time is great.
mhm. Yeah, yeah, it really is, and yeah, thankfully, one of our founders, he's ex-DocuSign, he's really good at coding and everything, so that's been also very helpful too. Yeah, but having the division of labor is definitely something that's really accelerated the process, like, tremendously.
So many startups wrestle with the choice between bootstrapping and seeking external funding. Why did you choose to bootstrap Pensium? And how has this decision influenced its development in the AI education field?
Yeah, for us, it was really clear that we were gonna bootstrap it just because the task of going out and actually getting funding, whether you're talking to investors or just friends and family, it's time consuming, right? And one thing that was very important for us was to move very fastly. And yeah, the reason that was yeah, actually, I'll tell you that later. But anyway, the reason we did go with bootstrapping is, yeah, securing funding, first of all, takes time. We wanted to move fast. Second of all, is the decision-making process. If somebody's invested in a startup, in a brand new startup, they want to at least have some kind of say in it. They want to at least be in the loop on versus if you don't have that, if it's just you guys, you can do everything in-house. It doesn't matter if it's 7 a.m., 11 a.m., 11 p.m., and a decision needs to be made. Everybody hop on a call, we'll make the decision right now. It doesn't matter, right? But whereas if you have external funding and all that external stuff, then all that kind of plays in your company, right? On top of that, actually, since we've been bootstrapping it, like, everything's coming straight out of our own pockets. So there's actually a huge incentive to look into our costs and actually understand what's costing us money the most and like how to mitigate that and how to manage it. And yeah, it's eventually you're gonna have to look into your costs. So the sooner you do it, I guess the better. It just sets you up for the future.
Definitely. I think the trend has been moving towards bootstrapping
Mhm.
because I think the fact that you're able to build a sustainable fit business actually it it makes people want to fund you later in the future because yeah, I think going in there with an idea is great, but the fact that you actually have product market fit is like it's something that investors want anyway. So
Mhm.
yeah, and
Mhm.
I love what you said about being lean because when companies don't have external funding, it actually makes you have to innovate and make it work without that. And yeah, I think that just makes you create a lot more interesting things.
Yeah, exactly. And honestly, like you can like when the investor might look and be like, "Hey, they did this without us," and then definitely it gives you the upper hand also when you're trying to bargain with investors, trying to get a better deal or whatever, and it just puts you at such a better place. And so far, like it's worked out great for us. So far, I could say that everything. I got to thank God that we're in a position that we can actually do this out of our own pockets and be in a comfortable position. But and yeah, so far it's been really good. I will say at now because like our user base is growing pretty rapidly right now. Our costs are getting up there. So right now we're probably gonna start looking for some kind of funding or some kind of money to yeah, boost Penseum.
It's a good problem to have. You're
Yeah.
starting to have more users. So like,
Mhm. Yeah, exactly, exactly. Yeah, and I feel like also in the next step, if we really wanna grow to at least like 1,000,000 users, and then we're gonna need some kinda at least marketing expenses. Because so far, like everything has just been in-house and organic. Absolutely.
at least a good strategy. So with the team experience in startups, including your co-founders, Kausa and Hosseini, how have past experiences influenced Pentium's approach to revolutionizing education through AI?
So I'll just call them Cam and Sam because it's just
Okay.
easier like that. But yeah, Cam and Sam, they've been also very super helpful. I'm very grateful to have them on our team. Like one thing that they're really good at, like aside from everything, like business side, is they're really good at bringing the best out of the people they work with. Really good in motivating you and really getting you to also turn the switch on in you. And that's one thing that they're really good at. And I personally felt it in myself, and I'm really grateful for that. But focusing on the business side, I emphasized on having to move very fast. That was one thing that obviously that was passed down from Cam and Sam. They knew that with the landscape that we were, that with the tech is always competitive, it's super competitive. So you have to be quick to market, quick to everything. And actually, so we started working on Penseum. It was late July. And one thing that was very clear from the beginning that Cam and Sam pretty much said was that we have to have goals and milestones to understand where we're going. And everything that we do has to have a structure and a direction. And yeah, from a very early stage, like all those things were out the way, and it was very clear what we were working towards, what was going to be next, what we're doing now. And yeah, that was very, very helpful. And it pretty much came from them and their past experience of having their own startup. But I also can't mention our other CTO, who is our co-founder Parsa, who actually built, I'd say around 80-90% of Penseum is strictly like his work, like the platform itself. And yeah, I gotta shout out to him too, because he's been working hard hours and like, relentlessly, and he's done honestly an amazing job. I can't really thank him so much.
Absolutely. So yeah, I think it's really great that you have co-founders who have worked in startups because I think, and the fact that you were talking about clear goals and milestones. So I'm curious, how has your goals shifted since you started? So what was your first goal and what's your goal now?
Our first goal was so when we started in July 28th, we said the most important goal is to have our product ready for September 1st, because that's when school starts and that's when our user base is pretty much going to be the most active. We missed it by 2 days, but once again, if we didn't have that target, if we didn't have all these things set beforehand, then we probably would have even hit that. And that was our main goal, and we hit it thankfully. And right now, I'd say our next goal is pretty much to get to 1,000,000 users. We're I won't give you an exact figure of how many users we have, but we're in the six-figure ballpark, so there's a bit of a ways to go. And yeah, that's our goal. Secure some funding as well. Obviously, we don't want to pay too much out of pocket. And yeah, that's pretty much our goals. I will say that we are also working on a B2B side of Pensium. We're trying to work on the deals with either university institutions or just educational institutions in some way or another. And that's something that is also going to be taking a lot of our focus in 2024.
Definitely. I think, yeah, that's a great goal
Mm.
because if you don't have a goal, you're just going to be randomly like doing things and you missed it by 2 days. I think that's like really great. And
Yeah.
yeah, I love the 1 million user goal right now. I am so excited to see that happen and yeah, and stay updated with Pensium. And also, yeah, I really like how you shouted out your CTO because like coders work so hard. Yeah, and the fact that, yeah, you only have one dev on your team, right? So he's probably, everyone has an integral role in a startup, but yeah, it's tough.
Yeah. At the end of the day, like as much as your marketing is good, your business development is good, as if you don't have a good product, nobody's going to stick around and stay for your product. And Yeah, even like I even use Penseum like myself, even though I graduated, even if I'm just learning on something, I'll just quickly pop it up in Penseum. And I really can't thank Parson enough about what amazing job he's done. And he's continuously working on it, and really he's been giving his all. So yeah, shout out to the whole team. We have a really good team. I think that's our strongest feature of Penseum is our team.
Definitely. So could you share a critical moment where your determination with Pensium was tested in the unpredictable world of AI and education, and how did you overcome it?
Yeah. So what happened, I'd say a really good example would be sometime late September, we really like our platform really started to get attention. And like overnight, there was a huge surge in users. Like our user count went from like 3,000 to 12,000 in a day, which is really crazy for us. And although it's good news, but there was an issue when too many people were loading up on our website, it would crash, and the service they weren't able to expand in time so to accommodate everyone. And that was really like something obviously you don't expect. And it's not something you plan for your platform to crash because of influx of users. And I will say, we didn't really anticipate that like, we thought like the growth would be a bit more gradual, not all of a sudden an extra 10,000 people would come on your website. And at that time, we really had to make a decision of what to do. If we were still in a we were still pretty early on. So if you were to start as a platform that doesn't work, everybody's trying to log on, everybody's trying to create a study guide, and none of it's working, then you're gonna create a bad name for yourself. And we really didn't want that. So at that moment, we had to make a decision, and we decided to close signups and move back to a wait list so that we protect the quality of Pensium over just the sheer quantity, right? And yeah, I think it was definitely unexpected, and it was something that you really can't plan for. And yeah, it just happens, and you got to make a decision quickly, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think once again, I think it's a great problem to have a sudden influx of users. But I also love how you're not like greedy. Let's just bring them in, even though it's like going to crash and you'll lose your reputation. And I love that you just moved to waitlisting because, yeah, I think it's a very strategic decision as well. And also, waitlisting makes people like, oh my God, like I can't get in. How come I can't get in yet? So it's, yeah, it's
Yeah,
also psychology. Yeah.
yeah, it definitely builds anticipation, and it also like you got to save the integrity of your website, right? Of your product, you can't just sacrifice it over a user count, which is just a number at the end of the day, right?
Definitely. User engagement is vital, particularly in AI driven platforms. When did you first notice a significant increase in user interaction with Pensium, and what do you think sparked it? Okay, I realize that we already talked about this question, but perhaps we can address the fact that what do you think sparked the influx?
Mhm. Yeah, it definitely happened. So when we launched our product on September the 3rd, I'd say the influx happened around September, 20 days later, September 22nd, September 23rd. And really what had happened was like, oh, just one of our posts on Instagram had blew up. So it was pretty funny what had actually happened at the time. Anytime that somebody would sign up, everybody in our group would get a email notification. And I have this rule that when I'm working, when I'm focused, unless I get 10 notifications, I'm not going to look at my phone. Yeah, and then I'm just like working, and then all of a sudden, like this phone just is just going crazy, it's just vibrating, vibrating. And I'm like looking at the phone, like what's going on? And I see that we're getting all these new emails coming in, and yeah, like instantly I sent a message in the group chat. We all hopped on a call. We were just looking at our live users, and it was just like some crazy number. Like there was like 2,000 people live at that very moment, and yeah, it was a very joyous moment. And the way we blew up, it's a bit of a combination of funny content and just good content itself. So before, when our Instagram account really got attention, was we had this one funny video that we posted, I'd say mid-September, that got, I'd say, a good 50,000 views after a week or so. And that kind of boosted our profile one way or another. And actually, like 10 days before, so I'd say around September 10th, we posted this one product video demonstrating Pensium, and nothing really came out of it until September 22nd. And all of a sudden, that video went from 500 views to 50,000 views, which was really crazy. And like all these people were coming to our website, and really that's where most of our users come from. It's just organic people from social media.
I love that. I love that you like focus on organic rather than paid ads. That really helps with your cost as well. Yeah,
Mhm.
and I also, yeah, I really like your content strategy with like funny videos because yeah, and also the fact that you're able to do that yourself without having to outsource to some content marketing agency, and Yeah, now I'm interested. Who's doing your content? What did they do in university? And yeah, and how did they gain this kind of experience?
Yeah, definitely. And wait, did you? Sorry, I didn't get your last question. Like, did you? Sorry, could you just ask that? Repeat that last part.
Okay, sure, absolutely. So now I'm curious about your marketing person, right? One of your marketing co-founders, the person who manages the Instagram account.
Mhm.
Like, what's their
Oh, that's
background?
me.
What's their story?
Really? That's actually me. So I
Oh,
actually, yeah, that is me. Yeah, yeah. I used to have a marketing job at this one company in Edmonton here, which was really
okay.
where I gained all my marketing experience and like I learned about Amazon sales and all that stuff. But yeah, the marketing strategy, it just hit me that what do people come to Instagram for? 90% of people are there to be entertained, just to see something funny. You have to feed into that, right? You can't, if you just want to stay serious about every post, say this, that, then you're only going to grow so much and only so many people are going to see you. But if you make it fun, make something interesting in there, then yeah, your profile will get a boost. And nobody really knows how these algorithms work. So one video goes viral, you like your other videos might they'll get a boost for sure. Yeah, you just gotta really think about why are people on social media, and it's pretty clear if you ask me.
I love that. I love that like you learned it by consuming and also thinking behind like the algorithm, like what do people like? And
Yeah.
yeah, I'm very shocked that it's you as well because I'm like I figured, oh, you're the economics guy. You probably do like the business
Mhm.
strategy, like the but
Mhm.
I love that you're like doing the marketing. It's because tech companies they survive only with marketing. Like you can have an excellent product, but if no one is going to use it and no one finds it, it's not gonna go anywhere.
Definitely, yeah. And there's been like so many companies that you're like, oh wow, what a great idea, but it just never really seemed to take off, and it's always because of that marketing. And
Definitely.
yeah, I do the marketing. I also do some business development stuff. We do have everybody has like clear tasks, but there is obviously some overlapping when you have to help where you can help. Yeah.
Excellent. So adaptability is crucial in the tech world. Can you provide an example of how Penseum had to pivot or adjust its approach based on user feedback or evolving needs in the education sector?
Yeah, definitely. Going back to, I think 2 questions ago, when we had this influx of users, we had to close down the platform. We moved back to a wait list. So anybody new who was coming, they could only hop on the wait list. And this obviously had a few issues. One, we had so many complaints of people like, hey, I want to sign up. Why can't I sign up? And on the other side, you had like people who had signed up. They're like, hey, I want to invite my friends. Like, how do we go about doing this? At the same time, we also like, although we closed our signups, we still wanted to at least grow. It's like this psychological thing that about your numbers are growing and you just keep more, you're locked in and you're engaged for a longer time. And we also wanted to see our own numbers increase. A pivot that we made, it was a decision that we made to actually move to an invite only. So from I'd say October up until December, we were like invite only. If you wanted to join, you either had to know someone who had an account or you could join our Discord. And then in our Discord, there was always an invite link available for members. And yeah, through that, we were actually able to grow our Discord too. We have over like 4,000 members in our Discord, and it's really good. Like, I'm really happy that actually happened because it's a very it's right now because of the Discord, we're like really close to some of our users, and it's really easy for us to get feedback. If there's a new feature, if there's something, or if a issue comes up, like we instantly find out because there's so many people on our Discord, there's so many eyes on it. And yeah, it's just it was I guess it's you really have to adapt to the situation that, hey, I still want to grow, but I don't want to break my platforms. What do I do? Oh, I'll make it invite only, and at the same time I'll grow my Discord so that for future purposes, I can get instant feedback and all these good stuff that comes. And you meet a bunch of great people all around the world. Oh, and actually, another thing that this whole situation, the when we blew up, highlighted for us is that we have users all over the world, and I really mean it. Like, we have users from India, I don't know, Brazil, Kuwait, New Zealand, like any country you can think about it. We have people from there, and yeah, like one another way that we realized that we can capitalize on this is to actually introduce different languages. And at the moment, we have 14 languages on Penseum. So that's what you call adapting.
Yeah, definitely. I love that strategy. I think, yeah, it's definitely a genius strategy moving people to Discord and building a
Mhm.
community around your product. And when you hear people talking, what features you should build next. And I think
Exactly.
that's a gold mine for tech companies. I think because sometimes many tech companies, they have to call customers and they have to individually contact them.
Yeah.
And if you see them interacting in Discord, that must be like really excellent for
Mhm.
you. And I wonder if there's any particular feature that you implemented based on feedback that you got from Discord.
Yeah, actually, there was one was dark mode. So very early on, like this was back when we only had, I'd say, 1,000, 2,000 users. Everybody was telling us to add dark mode, and yeah, you have to listen to the people. So we added dark mode, and I personally only use it on dark mode now. So shout out to them for actually bringing it up.
I love that. So your collaboration with cognitive scientists is a unique aspect of Penseum. How do you foresee these partnerships influencing the evolution of AI in education?
Mhm. I'd I'd say it's probably one of the more exciting aspects of Penseum. End of the day, like once again, we're trying to educate the people. So it's very important that our technology and our software is aligned with the cognitive process of learning. I'm not a cognitive scientist, neither are my four other founders. The only real way to go about understanding this and actually using it in a viable way is to go out and talk to either like somebody who teaches, somebody who's been studying this for their entire life, and scientists who do this day in and day out. And it's very instrumental to actually like building what we're trying to build, because it's very important that I also mentioned to you that Pentium is not for cheating, right? So it's Pentium is absolutely in no way designed for you to go on there and cheat and whatever. It's designed to help you study, help you understand, and it's supposed to be a study buddy that kind of follows you in your learning process. And to do that, we really have to have a product that kind of sits well with people, and it goes really well with the whole process of learning. And yeah, that's something that we have to collaborate with cognitive scientists and even like teachers and professors for to really understand and implement correctly.
Definitely, because I think, yeah, like you said with cheating, I think that's quite a big thing right now. Like universities having all these new regulations on plagiarism,
Mhm.
AI generated content. Yeah, and I think the fact that you're like working with teach professors and cognitive scientists, like it ensures that you're also like respecting the rules a little bit. Because otherwise you like as a platform, it would be really problematic if the university is like, hey, you can't use this platform. And
Mhm.
yeah, and I think the fact that you got universities involved in the beginning is like very strategic.
Yeah, and definitely, yeah, and both on the university side, we don't want to create an environment where our product is looked upon as some like cheating, some something that's like a shortcut. That's really not what we are. We're just there. We just want to help make the learning process as easy and as smooth as possible, and yeah, just give students, make the life of students a bit easier. That's what we're really trying to do. Absolutely no cheating at all.
I love that.
Yeah.
So, finally, for our aspiring non technical founders interested in AI and education, what piece of advice would you offer for creating a successful tech driven educational platform?
Right. I'd say that you will never have the answer to everything, and that's okay. You really gotta, anything you want to do in your life, there's always going to be a learning curve. Whether it's you're starting off as a baby, whether you're an adult, there's always a learning curve to new technology, to just new things in life. And it's very important that you embrace this learning curve so that you just make your own life a bit easier and you're not always hating the process that you're in. But at the same time, don't embrace learning so much that you're always learning, because then you'll never achieve anything. So it's what I recommend is that you find people you can trust. Find people you can trust, find a team that you can trust so that you can actually go out and conquer and do something meaningful. Two heads will always beat one head. Two average men will always beat a genius. And like there's genuine strength in numbers. And my if I could give one piece of advice to anybody, is aside from the AI and education side, it would just be to find people you can trust, because it's a very powerful thing to have in your life. And there's so much you can do with people you can trust. And I just can't imagine going through life without having people you trust. Yeah, that's my one piece of advice to everyone.
Definitely. I think that's really great advice, especially what you said about learning and also with the issue that you could have with over learning and
Hmm.
consistently just learning, because I think that's actually a trap that you see because you with YouTube, you can always learn something new and you could be stuck learning online courses for the rest of your life. And and I really like your advice on finding a team of people you can trust and then just implementing that. And yeah, I and that just ties perfectly with your story and your success story of having a good team of founders and implementing that with your friends. So it must be also a really fun process as well.
Yeah, yeah, it's been honestly so fun. At the end of the day, we've been friends for a long time, and this business is just something that came afterwards. And yeah, it's been a really good process. Just also on a personal level, learning so many different things from the business aspect. And yeah, I'm just super grateful for everything and anything.
Definitely. So we are closing up this podcast for today. Thank you so much for sharing all your insights with us.
For sure. Thank you for having me, and I hope you have a good rest of your day.
If you found anything useful in this video, please subscribe. It would help out my channel so much so that I can continue to bring in some of the leading tech founders globally to help you build your successful startup as a non-technical founder. And follow me on Instagram at Tech4Founder for weekly short videos of some of the most useful snippets from the podcast. And watch this video next, which I am sure you'll also like.